Oh, hey. Today I will be reviewing Where the Crawdads Sang by Delia Owens again. Today I've got a bottle of Sea Glass, which is a Sauvignon Blanc. It's super fitting, and for those of you who read the book, you know why, and for those of you who don't, I'll talk about it. I am going to give this wine a solid 4 out of 5. It's super light and refreshing. I think it's a perfect summer wine, which is why it goes so nicely with our book, because this is mainly a summer book. The story opens up with our main character, Kaya, who at the time is 6, and she lives in a tiny little cottage shack on the marsh. God, this is not a good sign. It's Kaya and her brother Jody, her 3 other siblings who you don't really hear often from, the mom, and her dad. She calls him Mom and Pa. And they're poor and they live in a shack near the marsh. Our story kicks off with Kaya's mother up and leaving her. And Kaya watches this happen, and she's like, Ma will come back. She's only going for a little while. She's not coming back. And some of you may be wondering, why on earth would a mother leave her 5 children with no warning? I'll tell you why. Because Kaya's father, or Pa, beats the living crap out of her mother, and now all of the children. So one by one, all of Kaya's older siblings start leaving, until it is just Jody, Kaya, and her Pa. And then Jody gets beaten and he decides enough is enough, and he tells Kaya, hey Kaya, I'm sorry, I'm leaving too. And she's like, at least I guess he said goodbye. So now it is Kaya and her Pa in the shack on the marsh, and she is trying to figure out how to coincide in this tiny little shack without getting the living daylights beaten out of her. And you would think, hey, this is really kind of a sad life. There's this poor little 6-year-old girl who's been abandoned by nearly everyone except for her abusive father, and she's all alone. This poor girl. Well, there is some lightness in all of this dark. It's just light. There is some light in some of all. I told you. There is some light in all of this darkness, and it is that Kaya loves to collect things from nature. She loves the marsh, so she'll collect shells and sea glass and feathers and any kind of little piece of nature that she can hold on to and learn about. She keeps, she collects. So when her dad goes away for a couple of days, she decides she's gonna take the boat out because she knows the marsh and surrounding areas so well, because she's old enough. She's not old enough. She gets lost. And if it weren't for Tate, she wouldn't have been able to get home. Now, she finally gets a letter from her ma, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, she's coming back. She wants me. She didn't abandon me. Which I guess isn't a lie, but Kaya can't read because Kaya's never gone to school. And actually, that's also a lie. She went for 1 day. Actually, that hasn't happened yet. So she gets this letter, but she can't read it, so she has to give it to her pa. And so she does. And then he gets angry and he takes off, just like everyone else in her life. So now she is, I think she's probably 7 at this point, and she's alone to fend for herself. But don't worry, Kaya's smart. So not only has she like all of a sudden started learning to cook and stuff, but now she also decides, I'm going to round up, catch mussels, and I'm gonna sell them to Jumpin', who is this super awesome black man who runs the like gas station convenience store for poor people and fishermen. And so she's gonna sell mussels to make money. That's a 7-year-old hustle. The truancy officer comes by because kids need to go to school, and she's avoiding them really well. But eventually the lady's like, finds her and brings her to school, but she doesn't want to be at school because it's a bunch of kids and they're mean to her, and she doesn't have shoes, and so she can't learn, because shoes are a necessity to learning. So Kaya went to school one day in her entire life. Remember Tate? Yeah, he comes around again. Now Kaya's 14 and Tate's 18. So Tate is going to teach Kaya how to read. So he brings all sorts of like phonics books and old school books of his to help teach her to read. So they fall in love. Kaya has her 15th birthday, but Tate is 18. And what do most 18-year-olds do? You go to college. You know, I don't know why I use the wine glass if I'm just gonna drink the whole bottle anyway. So now Tate is leaving her. He does have the decency to say goodbye, and it's not really goodbye because he'll be back on the 4th of July. The 4th of July rolls around, and you want to know who doesn't show up? So now Kai is devastated and has done what all of us girls do when we get our hearts broken. She's sworn off love forever. Now she's 19. This whole time she's been collecting mussels and smoking fish so that she could sell them to Jumpin', and Jumpin' and his wife Mabel have been helping her out with clothes and whatnot as much as they can because they are sweet, sweet people. She's been avoiding people this whole time. All of a sudden, she's on the beach doing her thing and she hears people coming, so she runs and hides behind a tree, right? Insert a group of people about her age. They're playing catch with some kind of ball. Someone throws it to this kid, Chase Andrews. He catches it right near the tree that Kai is behind, and they make eye contact. A day or so later, Chase Andrews finds Kaya and is like, would you like to go on a picnic with me? And she's like, they go on their picnic, they're walking. They haven't said more than 3 words to each other. I think Chase said hi, she nodded, he may have said something else, and he is trying to get in her pants, like aggressively, because he's mannerless and he's a jerk. She falls for his, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. And now they're dating. He won't bring her around to meet his family or his friends because he knows how shy she is and how uncomfortable that would make her. Eventually, Tate comes back and he's like, Kaya, I love you. And she's like, I've moved on. Screw you, Tate. And he's like, hey, I've heard you're with Chase now, and I want to let you know that I saw him leaving the Christmas party that you weren't invited to with this blonde bimbo. I can say that because I'm blonde. And she's like, no, that couldn't possibly be. She makes a trip into town because Chase's birthday's coming up and sees Chase with friends and his arm around said blonde bimbo. Kaya picks up a newspaper, sees their engagement photo in the newspaper. That apparently is the last straw. Kaya is minding her own business, doing her thing. All of a sudden, Jody shows up, like her brother. She's like, oh my God, you finally came back. And he's like, I did. I went to war and I put myself through the war 2 times because I was so guilty of leaving you behind. I felt like I deserved it. So now Jody's back. This book goes flips and flops between the past and present, in the present, there's a murder. So Chase has been found dead and the police are investigating because they're like, was it a murder? Was it an accident? We don't know. So Tate shows up again out of the blue and sees Kaya's whole collection. He's like, wow, Kaya, this is amazing. There are no research books or resource books on this. You could make a lot of money. This could be your way out of poverty. And she's like, all right, I'll do it. So now she is a published author of 2 books, working on more. We're loving it. She's not poor anymore. She can actually like provide for herself, which is awesome. But like I said, the book flips between the past and the present. In the present, the police have identified her as a prime suspect. But in the past, which is slowly catching up to be the present, her publisher has invited her to come out to Greensboro. And so Kaya decides, yeah, I'm gonna go visit my publisher on October 28th and stay until October 30th. Let's focus on the murder trial. The prosecution has nothing on her. Not any hard evidence anyway. Ta-da! The jury is not necessarily on her side. You know they say if you drink a bottle of wine in one night, you're an alcoholic?
Now where my alcoholics? Let me see your hands up! What you drinking on?
Also, Chase, after she breaks up with him, finds her, tries to rape her. She fights him off, but 2 fishermen see this. And now, so in her trial, they're testifying to the fact that she said, if you ever touch me again, I will kill you. Rightfully so. The jury is out for a while trying to decide Kaya's fate. And they decide that she is... They find her not guilty because none of the evidence is hard enough to convict her. So after the trial, Jody drives her home. Tate shows up and is like, Kaya, I love you. I have always loved you. I never stopped loving you. And she's like, I love you too, but how will I know you won't leave me like everyone else? They live together in her house forever, blah, 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 blah. Kaya dies. Eventually, like when she's old and stuff, so Tate finds this floorboard or weird spot in the floor, opens it and finds the shell necklace. When Kaya and Chase were dating, Kaya made a necklace out of this shell. He wore it every day. Even after they broke up, he continued to wear it. But when they discovered his dead body, he was no longer wearing it. So Kaya actually did murder freaking Chase Andrews, but she got away with it. So here's the breakdown. Cover design. I am giving a 4 out of 5 to. I love the fact that she's in her canoe. The fact that the crawdad itself as a creature is like this muck dwelling. It's very Kaya. I love it. Characters are a 5 out of 5. I love the characters. I love Kaya. I feel like I get her. I didn't grow up on a marsh. I grew up on a farm, but like I get it. The plot is fantastic. So interesting in the fact that it's this girl and she lives in the marsh by herself, abandoned. It's a romance. It's a murder. It's a mystery. It is a lot, and there's a lot that's happening. Plot is a 5 out of 5. The ending honestly blew my mind. I could have sworn she was guilty. And then this whole trial happens and you're like, oh my gosh, actually I think she's innocent. And she's not. And the book drop. The book drop, y'all know, is my favorite. It's a pause. It is without a doubt the moment you find out, or where Tate finds out, that Kaya actually did it, and Tate is covering up for her. He's like, all right, I gotta get rid of all this. But she actually did it the exact way that one of the detectives was saying she did. So 1 4 and 4 5s gives Where the Crawdads Sing a 4.8 out of 5, which is the highest to date. Anyway, this is an amazing book, so good. Could easily read in one day. Highly recommend. Delia Owens, thank you. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Until next time.